Well, g'day there everybody. Thanks again for joining me in this Thursday afternoon market recap. First of all, let's have a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Yesterday as it stood, it was really the last market of the three closely followed that we watch here at Pivot Point to really break out today. However, we have seen a very strong continuation to the upside. Pay attention to the top right-hand corner of my screen. You can see today, during Thursday's day's worth of trade, we closed up 156 points. A really nice breakout, which I assume is also happening on pretty decent volume. I still have to wait for the end of data to trickle through to me until we can really come to some form of a really decent conclusion on that. But at this particular point, we're really seeing again a really tremendous and quite strong breakout, which is happening in the first abbreviated week's worth of trade for the year 2018. You can see my trigger here, 24,909. We briefly only just closed above it yesterday, but today a pretty decent gap to the upside and a really strong continuation also really throughout most of today's session's worth of trade. So an interesting look here at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm unsure obviously if you are personally in the diamonds, however you may be in the SPYs if you took the trade above 2,698. You can see also the top right hand corner of my screen closing up another 13 points or just over. A pretty decent breakout again. This is all looking very nice. And again, if we just continue the discussion into the Nasdaq, a little bit different in today's candlestick construction. We do have that of a little spinning top candlestick. This is not necessarily that of a reversal. It is just a very temporary or at least a short-term sort of candle of indecision, which is somewhat expected after the very strong start to 2018. This is Tuesday's candlestick just here, a very nice one white soldier, followed by another relatively long day strong Morobozu candlestick. And this is just again traders essentially really not committing to any major move or any major continuation on the Nasdaq. Now I did discuss yesterday the potential of that of a sort of a rising three, so to speak. We didn't get that today. However, the sentiment and the psychology of this move is indicating that it still wants to continue higher. We are breaking above all three of those rising exponential moving averages across the board. This is the picture of the Nasdaq. If I change the Dow Jones Industrial Average, you can see a very similar type of scenario. We are again bouncing off that 10 exponential moving average, which is acting as rising support. And if I change into the S&P 500 again, you can see that 10 exponential acting as that bouncing area of support. So again, across the board, very strong start to 2018. I do hope, of course, that you are in either the SPYs, the diamonds, or the Qs. Maybe you've added to some of those positions which we've entered into over the past number of months. Maybe you didn't and you're just reaping the benefits of the trend continuation. However it is for you, I still hope that you do have exposure to this market moving higher. It has come as a little bit of a surprise to me. Personally, I was expecting the market to more or less be rather stagnant this week, if not potentially pull back a little bit. And we spoke about, again, the continuation of this consecutive sort of series of higher lows and higher highs. However, very simply, we've just continued this very strong bullish advance. And for that, I'm very thankful for. And you should be rather grateful for that as well, because we have started 2018 very quickly and rather profitably at this particular point. Now, if you move into our top 12 individual trade list, it won't, pardon me, this video won't be as long as the one yesterday, but I am still going to recap these stocks. Apple closed the gap yesterday, but today we were only up marginally, 88 cents. No major news really from what I spoke about yesterday when it comes to Apple. We've got Amazon, which is on the precipice of breaking out. I was really, really excited about this move intraday. But you can see we are left with that. I'm not going to call it that of a shooting star candlestick, but we do have this upper wick. That is expected because we are back up at these new recent historical all-time highs. So expect potentially a little bit of a slowdown on Amazon. But once we get above the high of this wick, which is just developed during Thursday's day's worth of trade, this should be another great continuation bullish entry to the upside, which again, at this particular point, you should have open and potentially you are in. So it is a trade under construction. And what is good to see is that we are pushing back up and pricing in at least new intraday all-time highs for Amazon, even though we did close with that upper wick. Nothing to be concerned about. If not, again, major opportunity there on Amazon. Boeing Airlines is still asleep. This is something you shouldn't really be looking for at this particular point. We're waiting for, of course, the ADX to actually reset. So pay attention to this. It's adjusted from about 70. It is sitting at 44, but it does have a little bit lower to go until we can really get behind that of a trend continuation. So give it a little bit more time. Baidu, when they closed up 5 cents today, it did have a pretty impressive gap up, but we closed the gap. That's expected. This is what we call that of a bearish counterattack. But at the same time, momentum is shifting to the upside. If I bring up the oscillators, you can see that they are still very firmly bullish, especially the MACD. So this is a trade that I'm excited about. It's only, in my opinion, in its infancy. Whether or not it actually pulls on down one more particular time and tries to drill on back down into that support area, that's anyone's guess at this particular moment. But this has got a lot of upside potential, which you should be excited about as well. You should be already positioned in this. Again, continuing with Caterpillar, we saw a bit of a pop, but this is not on my radar. It sort of is relatively similar to that of Boeing Airlines. So I'm not looking to actually jump into this, even though we did see a relatively bullish candlestick during Thursday's session worth of trade. We've got COP breaking out above 56.90. So this is again the bull flag continuation, which is just triggered as at today on Thursday. So pay attention to this. It looks as though that bullish trend is continuing, although we don't have all that much sort of return on that trade. It is only just breaking out. Now again, CVX, this has been something which has been incredibly profitable. We've got 3 past triggers over here. We've got the most recent one dating back to Tuesday at 126.79. We pretty much were unchanged. We do have that of a doji candlestick. Just allow this a little bit of time to breathe. Just allow it, of course, to move with, the ebbs and flows of the market. But over time, this should continue. And we do have higher prices for CVX, even though today we did print an inside day doji candlestick. The same is true for Google. You can see right here, we do have another doji. We did close up, however, just shy of 6 points. This is after the very, very profitable trade from 1,070 and also the continuation entry at 1,088. Here we are. Pretty much we tagged, of course, 1,100 today. We closed a little bit below this at 1,097. But again, expect this to sort of move sideways, all right, over the coming days. But overall, if we build that of a stair-step continuation pattern, what will happen is that the high of today's candlestick will become the new bullish breakout trigger. It's not ready yet if you're not in this, but very shortly and in due course, it will be ready to actually place a legitimate entry if you're not already in it at this particular point. We've got Goldman Sachs, which is still rather lethargic. We closed up $3, but again, the candlestick, it's not really giving us any clear indication of which direction it wants to break. However, I am still, of course, optimistic as long as it holds above that most recent resistance area as it is doing. And of course, the surprise packet, personally, outside of Netflix, is certainly IBM. IBM was trading down here at 153 at the beginning of the week. On Wednesday, we saw a really nice uptick on this particular stock. Today, we closed up just shy of $3.50. We've actually run and overshot not only the 160.42 target, you can see this on my screen right here, but now we are on our way up to 166. So it's going to come down to, of course, well, what do we do for option expiration and also earnings? But what we can do right now is simply just hold. I mean, if you didn't close out at 160, you can simply move your stop up to the low of today's candle. But also, we've got adequate time for this to run another $4 or so up to 166 and then close the trade out entirely, which I hope is before earnings, which is scheduled at this particular point for the 18th of January. So something to be aware of. But IBM has really done a very impressive move to begin 2018. We are up on the weekly candlestick just over $8.50, which is rather exciting. Now, again, the other surprise packet, personally for me, was Netflix above 199.87. Here we are. We're already up at 206.35. So again, very similar to what I just spoke about with IBM. You have to be, of course, cognizant of the simple fact that we do have earnings. This is scheduled for the 26th of January. All right, it still is rather far away. However, what you should be thinking about is locking in profits just to ensure that, one, this is a profitable trade and you can get the maximum out of this before and prior to earnings later this month. Now, the last stock, actually the second last stock, because I need to update you on Facebook, is that of Tesla. Tesla's still bouncing all over the place. This is something that is rather bearish on the macro and also intermediate time frame. However, on the minor level, there still isn't really a decent trade set up either direction. Even bi-directionally, it doesn't look all that enticing at this particular point, because although Tesla is rather bearish at this particular time individually in and of itself, the markets, however, are very, very bullish. So I don't really like to trade counter trend when the markets, again, the macro theme and the backdrop is very, very much aggressively bullish. Now, if we bring up that of Facebook to conclude this Thursday afternoon market recap, I spoke about this yesterday. Again, about the surprise movements in Facebook. I mean, I thought personally this is going to take a little bit more time than what it has. However, fast forward to today, on Thursday, the third trading session of 2018, and we've moved from 176 up to 185. So you can see we've broken above 184.58. We've continued above the bullish breakout trigger or the bounce off support down here at 178.61. I am obviously unsure as to which trigger was yours or what the dollar cost averages of the trade itself, but overall this is relatively profitable at this particular point. And again, you just need to allow a little bit of wiggle room. As you can see, you've got Facebook back up around this all-time high. It's simply or very close to breaking out. We were left with a high top or a high wave spinning top candlestick. You can see Google, a doji. This is indicating a little bit of fluctuations in price, especially for Friday most likely, and if not into the week upcoming. Again, with Amazon reluctant to break out, but still very much optimistic that we are on the precipice of a legitimate breakout. So be mindful of this. Also today, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average breaking above 25,000. We really broke above it conclusively today, 25,079. Personally, I was looking for potentially a little bit of an upper wick around that 25,000 area. It didn't happen. We just blew straight through it, which is good to see as well. So it really looks as though the trend is really there is no resistance actually holding back this market, which is very exciting because a lot of our trades at this point are bullish trends. And when it comes to a trending market, it really is the best time to be just holding on to stocks, holding on to individual trades, and just reaping the benefits of the market drifting higher. And that's really sort of the narrative of this afternoon market recap is, again, harness the strength of the trend and don't underestimate, of course, just how far these markets can move and what that is obviously going to do to the pricing of these individual stocks as well. So on that note, if you have any questions, please email me, success@pivotpoint-trading.com. Enjoy your Thursday evening. I am going to, of course, record Pro tomorrow evening. So once the market concludes or closes on Friday, it is going to be an early Pro analysis class that will be out, very late Friday evening, if not very early on Saturday morning. All right, so I just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there at this particular time. If you're not in Pro, enjoy your weekend, and I wish you all the best for trading in the week upcoming. It's James signing off on behalf of Pivot Point Trading. Farewell.